Alright, hello and welcome to a REDCap training session. My name is Patrick and today we'll be talking about making production changes. And some of the bullet points we'll be talking about are how do I make changes, risks of modifying database that is in production, and can I modify or reorder fields. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our project setup page. And you may be wondering why even put the project into production in the first place. Why can't I just leave it in development? And basically for that, you can usually put that into a project into production as a way to say that the project is no longer in testing phase, and to tell that your project is and your instruments are refined and you're ready to enter real data. Okay, and make sure that everything is good to go in the checklist, main project settings, and usually before you move into production, you would want to make sure that whether you're using a longitudinal data collection form or you're using surveys in the project. Next up, design your data collection instrument and enable your surveys, and make sure that you're done with that as well. And you're welcome to click it as already finished. So yes, I'm using surveys for this project. I'll just say done. Online designer is done as well. Enable optional modules and customizations. See auto numbering for records, randomization, and the rest of these options will be in a later video, and the link will be in the description below. Okay, done with that. And these are other options as well. Twilio SMS and voice call services. Set up project bookmarks, that's optional as well. And user rights and permissions, make sure you assign everyone the proper roles before moving on to production. And test your project thoroughly. Done with that. You can take my word for that. Okay. And move your project to production status. Okay, and this would be the button to move your project to production status. Let's go ahead and click that. And be sure to read the fine print before moving on. Are you sure you wish to leave the development stage? If you proceed, the project will move to production status so that real data may be collected. By leaving the checkbox checked below, all current collected data, calendar events, and uploaded documents will be deleted. Otherwise, and all will remain untouched as the project is moved to production. And make sure that if you do have data that you would like to keep, uncheck this button. But let's go ahead and do that and keep all the data that we have from development mode, because we do not want to delete all data, calendar events, documents uploaded for record responses. Unless it's test data, of course, then you can just click that, delete all data. Alright, and as you can see, as an administrator, I can still change the options here. Super users will be able to change main project settings, optional modules, and whatnot. But as on the user's point of view, it will be grayed out. So make sure you have the project enabled as a survey, or your longitudinal instruments enabled as well, or your randomization module, your scheduling module, and other options as well before moving to production. Or if that's ever disabled for you and you wish to re-enable them, just contact your local REDCap administrator. Alright, and let's go on to see if we want to make changes to our project. To do this, you go into Online Designer and enter draft mode. And basically, before entering draft mode, you would usually want to download your data dictionary as a backup in case you want to take a look at what you really want to, if there's any thing you need to revert back to data design wise, or any data you want to refer back to. And you can do that, download a data dictionary. And I'll just show you the quick steps. Download the data dictionary, create, and you can open up Excel. Let's go back. Alright, and what if I wanted to make changes to an instrument? And usually to make changes to instruments in your project, you would go into enter draft mode. Okay, and then go to your instrument that you would like to change. And if something ever goes wrong, and when you enter draft mode, it's always good to have the data dictionary as a backup, or any of your records as well, to download and export your records and reports. And what are the risks of modifying a database that is already in production? Well, altering a database that is in production can cause data loss, but if a database must be modified, you can follow some of the simple rules, and this would also be listed in the post-production facts page. And that'll be in the link below as well in the description. And some of the points are: do not change existing variable names, or data stored for those variables will be lost. And to give you an idea of that, say we wanted to change the variable name fruits2 to fruits3 or something like that. Data will be confused when making the changes, and also when the changes actually go through and you hit submit changes for review. And another thing is, do not change existing variable names or existing form names via a data dictionary upload, or form completeness data will be lost, and form names may be changed within the online designer without data loss. And let's go ahead and check this out for do not change an existing form name. And basically, this would be the page where you would upload your files. So it's not recommended to change form names by a data dictionary upload, or the form completeness will be, or the data will be lost. Alright, and third of what are the risks of modifying a database that is already in production. Do not modify the codes and answers for the existing drop-down, radio, or checkbox variables, or existing data will be lost or confused as well. But it is acceptable to add choices to the drop-down, radio, or checkbox field. Say, for example, you would not want to change apple to another choice, like, say, a fruit orange. Okay, so that data will be confused by changing the form name. Okay, and for radio button, checkbox, and drop-down fields, can I add response options without impacting my data? And yes, you can add new choices to your choices, drop-down or radio buttons without affecting your data. For example, let's say, and make sure to make a new code for it as well. Let's go with 5 oranges. Save. And be aware that there are no changes as of yet. This is still in drafting mode, and to actually make the changes go through, you would have to go to submit changes for review, and for that you would go to view detail summary of all drafted changes. Alright, and it looks maybe daunting at first, but the key is right here, just in case you need to check if any changes what need to be made, such as white cell would be no changes, yellow cells would be few changed, and as you can see, gray text is the current value that you have, and the black text would be the new value, such as the choice that we added of oranges right there. And we can go to previous page after checking through your changes made in draft mode, and usually you would submit this to an administrator to look over your changes. And usually for minor changes, the draft changes would go through immediately, but for changes that will impact your any data or records, or just modifying like a current instrument in general, will require an approval by REDCap Administrator. And usually for like if there's any potential like critical issues that go through, that you may be contacted by an administrator to make sure that those are the changes that you would like to go through. All right, let's go back and let's submit changes for review. Okay, once you've clicked submit to finalize these changes, you must wait for your changes to be reviewed and approved. Yep, and we got that. Submit. All right, and awaiting review of project changes, and then we'll just skip through this process. After the project gets approved, the project changes get approved, the administrator will usually commit the changes. All right. Let's take a look at the changes now. And as you can see, the changes have gone through for the choice field as well. And on to the next question. For radio buttons, checkbox, and drop-down fields, can I delete response options? Well, let's take a look. Well, for deleting radio button or drop-down choices, it does not change data saved to the database, but it deletes the ability to select that option. So say we delete oranges, something like that. Deleting a checkbox option deletes that saved data, and it deletes the ability to select that option as well. So go ahead and delete that. And submit changes for review, or basically view detailed summary of all drafted changes again, just to make sure that that is what you want. Critical issues, none, but the deleted options are okay since those options have no data. Alright, and let's go ahead and skip through the process again of getting it approved by an administrator. That might take a week or so, but okay, just kidding. Okay, but let's go to commit changes. Alright, and let's look at our records. Alright. And it would not really affect your records by just doing that. And let's go ahead and look at the next question for radio button, checkbox, and drop-down fields. Can I modify or reorder my response options? And if ever you want to reorder your any options, let's take a look at an example. Go into Online Designer and enter draft mode just to be able to modify any online design instruments and whatnot. Alright. And let's say for colors, you would like to change red, yellow, blue to be alphabetical order for blue, red, yellow. Basically, you would not want to put blue, yep, and that will not update. It will confuse the data. And if you had to recode it for the options, you would like to add, for example, other colors would be green or red, or not red, my bad, or orange, okay? And for example, let's go ahead and do that. So you would put free blue. For green. 5 orange. And each will have its own specific code for that will keep the data in line. And as you can see, the changes still have not gone through yet, and you can go ahead and submit changes for review. And let's go ahead and take a look and view a detailed summary of all changes as well. Okay, fields to be modified 1, records in project 2. Will these changes be automatically approved? No, and admin will have to review these changes. Okay, and gray text is the current value, and the black text are the new values. So it's just basically adding new colors or choices to the instrument, and just basically reorder to alphabetical order. Right, and submit changes again. All right, let's go on to the final question. Are the numbers of the remaining events reordered if I delete some event in an ongoing longitudinal project? And for more about longitudinal project, you can take a look at our description below on setting up longitudinal projects and moving them to production status and whatnot. But the original numbering is retained for the remaining events. And of course, you can view more of these topics as well in our training topics page, and visit our YouTube channel as well for REDCap for VCU. And you can see the link in the description below if ever you would like to request a topic, or if any questions in general, you can take a look at our links below as well to post anything onto our research portal, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have or any project support questions. And this pretty much concludes the making production changes in REDCap. And we'll, of course, have more topics in the following weeks, and stay tuned.